Tensions are rising. Surveys show most people fear a global war is looming. But in a world on edge, almost no one expects the strongest advantages don't belong to the young. They belong to seniors. While everyone else imagines older adults as vulnerable in crisis, the research and history says the opposite. In some of the darkest apocalyptic scenarios, seniors hold the skills, mindset, and resilience that others are missing. What you're about to learn isn't just speculation. It's backed by real data, real surveys, history, and a truth hiding in plain sight. I've lived through war, scarcity, blackouts, rationing, and the tail end of World War II itself. My expertise comes not from textbooks, but from surviving times of warfare firsthand. A recent survey showed that 80% of Americans believe World War III feels imminent, a weight pressing on the collective chest of the country. And it's not just here. Another survey across Europe and the US found that 41 to 55% of people think a world war is likely within the next 5 to 10 years. Experts remind us that even though global tensions are undeniably elevated, a full-scale world war is still unlikely in the immediate term. It's a grounding thought in a world buzzing with fear. What does World War III even mean? Nuclear conflict, a global cyber war, multiple nations clashing at once. As analysts at the Center for European Reform point out, the term is ill-defined, and that makes predictions messy. When people talk about the possibility of World War III, the fear feels eerily familiar to anyone who has studied the Great Depression. Back then, the world trembled under uncertainty. Banks collapsing, families uprooted, futures rewritten overnight. And yet, even in that darkness, it was often the older generation who held communities together. They knew how to stretch a dollar, how to share what little they had, how to stay calm when the world felt anything but calm. That same strength echoes today as global tensions rise. Surveys show most Americans, and many across Europe, fear another world-shaking conflict. But beneath that anxiety lies a truth shaped by history. Seniors have navigated collapse before, and they carry scars that have transformed into wisdom. Here are 3 powerful advantages seniors would bring if a global crisis like World War III emerged. 1. The calm born from surviving hard times. Imagine the world buzzing with panic screens lighting up with alerts, younger people scrolling obsessively for answers that never seem to come. Then picture a senior sitting at the table, hands still, breath steady. They're not naive, they're seasoned. They've lived through recessions, blackouts, wars, political turmoil, personal losses, and quiet rebuilds. Research backs it up. Older adults show higher psychological resilience than many expect. This calm isn't accidental, it's earned. It's the kind of strength that comes from decades of storms weathered and storms survived. And in moments when the world trembles, this is the kind of steady presence that keeps others from falling apart too. Skills. From a life lived before everything was digital, picture a power grid. Flickering, the internet dropping, phones drained to black screens, younger generations freeze, lost without their digital compass. But seniors, they remember life before the glow of screens, before convenience replaced competence. Analog skills are practical, hands-on abilities that don't rely on digital technology. The kinds of skills people used every day before smartphones, apps, and automation took over. These skills become incredibly valuable in any crisis where power, internet, or modern systems fail. Seniors know how to cook without apps, navigate without GPS, fix instead of replace, save instead of swipe, grow food, preserve food, stretch food. Studies of older adults shaped by war and hardship show they develop adaptability, independence, and practical wisdom, the kind of tools that matter when life becomes low-tech by necessity. In a crisis, analog skills or old-school skills aren't outdated. They're indispensable. 3. Real community in a disconnected world. In a global conflict, fear isolates. People retreat, cling to screens, search for updates that don't soothe. But seniors remember something younger generations rarely practice anymore: face-to-face community. They come from a world where neighbors mattered, where you knew who lived beside you, where borrowing sugar wasn't strange, where survival wasn't a solo act. Speaking of community, subscribe to Young at Heart today and join a community that's vibrant, empowering, and built for people who refuse to let age define their limits. Research into older adults during crises reveals that strong relationships provide powerful emotional protection and practical support. When systems weaken and uncertainty rises, people become the greatest resource, and seniors are the keepers of that wisdom. In a post-apocalyptic novel, G. Michael Hopf claims, "Hard times create strong men create good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times." Seniors were forged in the hard times, not broken by them. They carry the strength of generations who built, rebuilt, and rebuilt again. And if the world ever shifted into another hard chapter, their experience wouldn't fade into the background. It would rise to the front. It would guide, it would steady, it would teach. Generations before us were told repeatedly that the next global war was around the corner. Those predictions, many dramatic, many absolute, ended up exaggerated or simply wrong. Yet here we are, again staring at the map, noticing the hotspots, Ukraine and Russia, the Middle East, the rising tension between Taiwan and China. Analysts warn these flashpoints could escalate, sparks landing in dry grass. Not guaranteed, not destined, but possible. So we sit in this strange place between fear and skepticism, between tension and hope, trying to understand what all this means for us. And surprisingly, when you strip away the noise, a quiet truth emerges. In the darkest scenarios, seniors may hold unexpected advantages. Strength shaped by time, sharpened by hardship, and often overlooked by a world obsessed with youth. If the world ever faced a crisis on the scale people fear today, seniors would again bring three quiet but powerful advantages: unshakable resilience, practical old-school skills, and real community instinct. The Great Depression carved toughness into a generation that learned to fix instead of replace, to save instead of spend, to rely on people instead of systems, and those lived lessons matter, now more than ever. While younger generations often imagine end-of-the-world scenarios through screens and headlines, seniors remember the feel of real hardship and the path through it. Their calm steadies chaos, their skills fill the gaps modern life forgot, and their sense of community becomes a lifeline when the noise of the world grows loud. History doesn't just show that seniors survive hard times, it shows they help the rest of us survive them too.